Hey guys, how are you doing? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back to the channel, and let's talk about this crazy story about an Overwatch-themed Nintendo Switch case showing up on Amazon and then disappearing, and now we're all wondering about Overwatch. So, in all actuality, conversations about Overwatch coming to the Nintendo Switch actually go back over 2 years. Back in early April, there were stories about some of the folks who work for Blizzard discussing the idea of bringing Overwatch to the then brand new Switch. I think that we have to remember, going back that far, all of the conversations around the Switch were very unique and they felt very new and fresh and different simply because the Switch was brand new at that time. It's almost like you have to time warp your brain to go back to that period to remember when conversations about certain games coming to the Switch seemed like a revolutionary idea. Here, near the end, halfway through, near to the end of 2019, it's a different story. We already know the Switch is a huge hit. We've already seen tons of amazing and impressive third-party games come to the consoles, so our understanding of the console's capabilities and library is very different than it was back in 2017 when the Switch was literally weeks old. But at that time, people were still curious about what kind of games would come to the Switch, what kind of games could even run on the Switch, and so talking about Overwatch just felt different. Also, Overwatch was much newer at that time. Now Overwatch is obviously quite a few years old, but at that time there was so much going on with the Switch being new and exciting and all of the possibilities were ahead of us that Blizzard discussed the idea, and I also discussed the idea way back when, in April of 2017, 2.5 years ago, well, 2 years and a couple of months ago. And the general idea that they were talking about at the time was that they were interested in the idea of bringing Overwatch to the Switch. They definitely liked the Switch. Everyone at Blizzard was a big fan of the console when it launched, and they saw some paths to making Overwatch happen, but they also felt that overall it might be too challenging to make work. And so fast forward to today in 2019, and we've seen so many things come to the Switch that we previously never thought possible. When you look at games like Doom and Mortal Kombat and Resident Evil and so many different things, and now we have other games that we know to look forward to. Doom Eternal is coming, which is just so crazy impressive. And so in this climate, a game like Overwatch doesn't seem as crazy. I mean, heck, Diablo 3 came out on the Switch, did incredibly well. It ran and performed well, it reviewed well, and most importantly, it sold well. So Blizzard has obviously seen success on the Nintendo Switch, so other games start to make a little bit more sense too, right? And so all of this brings us to what happened earlier today when a very well-known person on Twitter who you guys are probably familiar with, Wario64, shared an interesting tweet about an Overwatch-themed Nintendo Switch case showing up on Amazon. And you can see the tweet here. Very straightforward, Overwatch-themed Nintendo Switch case from Power A, listed on Amazon. There's a link to it, and then most importantly, he notes, it's officially licensed by Nintendo and Blizzard Entertainment, which is a huge piece of news when considering this whole thing. Now, what's also very interesting is within about 10 or 15 minutes, he actually posted an update tweet saying that it was very quickly delisted from Amazon. And now if you go to that link on Amazon, it basically is like, hey, there's no link here. What are you looking for? Because it certainly can't be a Nintendo Switch case that says Overwatch on it. And obviously this got a lot of attention. I mean, heck, even IGN covered this. And so suddenly we have all of these signs pointing to a possible reveal of Overwatch coming to the Nintendo Switch kind of soon. And if you really take a look at these pictures of this case, I gotta tell you guys, anything can be faked, obviously. We've seen fake NX controllers, we've seen fake Grinch leaks and Rayman and Smash Brothers. I mean, anything is possible. So this case either could be made by somebody, this could be photoshopped, it could be 3D frickin' printed, who even knows. But if we're a little bit more realistic here and we look at these pictures, it looks pretty damn real. I mean, it's incredibly convincing. This looks like a real case, officially licensed. Like he said, it looks like it has the quality of an officially licensed case for the Nintendo Switch. It's very impressive. It's very cool looking. I'm not an Overwatch guy, but the quality of the case is definitely up there, in a world where this turns out to be real. It's pretty cool. So we see the case, it looks real, we see the tweet, we want to believe it. Is Overwatch coming to the Nintendo Switch? Is this hinting at something? And I think that there's a pretty good chance that there could be something to this. I mean, as I've already showed you guys, I've been talking about the idea of Overwatch coming to the Switch since way back in April of 2017. And since then, I've actually brought it up many, many times when talking about what kind of third-party games might start to show up. Again, I've never been an Overwatch fan, so it was never about me wishing or desiring the game to come to the Switch. I literally played the game for 10 minutes in the beta before it launched back in 2016 or whatever, and that's it. So I'm not some Overwatch fanboy that's just, got my head in the clouds thinking Overwatch is going to come for those reasons, because I don't even know if I'd play it if it came to the Switch. But I always felt that, in the year of 2017, in the year of the launch of the Switch, when we started to get more and more excited about the possibilities of the console, and we started to even see some surprising third-party games come in that first year, Skyrim and Doom and Resident Evil and whatnot, Overwatch, in that first year or so after the game came out and made a splash, it was just a game that I felt was right for the Switch for a lot of reasons. Not just because it's got that kind of graphical style that you feel kind of appeals to a Nintendo audience, which is true because it does, but also just that kind of online-focused multiplayer gameplay coming from a company that likes to throw their stuff on as many platforms as possible, and realizing that the Switch is portable, and so it makes an online competitive game like Overwatch that much more enticing. It just made sense to me back then. Throughout 2018 and this year, I've really kind of dropped the idea. I actually haven't thought about it in like a year and a half. And so seeing this whole thing come up right now makes me kind of feel like, oh yeah, I remember when I really felt that Overwatch made sense, but honestly, the interest in Overwatch kind of died, and so I kind of just forgot about it. Suddenly, I feel like it makes more sense again. Not to mention the other huge elephant in the room piece of information that really feeds into this idea, which is the curious timing of this, leak or rumor, hoax, whatever it is, showing up right now when we're all starting to hear stories about a Nintendo Direct. And we're all getting ideas in our heads about a Nintendo Direct. In fact, as you know, my last 2 videos focused on the idea of Nintendo's next Nintendo Direct. And there's suddenly more and more signs pointing to a September Direct, more and more people believing in it, and while nothing is confirmed, behind the scenes chatter notwithstanding, there's reason to think that a Nintendo Direct very likely is coming very, very soon in the next couple of weeks in the month of September. And so now there's a tease or rumor about Overwatch coming to the Switch. Is it meant to happen during a Nintendo Direct? Very likely. I don't think that it's crazy. Now, I'm not trying to tell you any behind the scenes stuff. I'm not trying to put any rumors out there. I'm just using my own logical brain based off of what we've seen put out there and adding the pieces together to make it seem like there's a really good chance that a Nintendo Direct could happen soon and that Overwatch could show up in that Direct. Some people have talked about, and this has been people kind of tweeting their sort of fan wish list here, their wishes and dreams, that it would show up in a Nintendo Direct and be shadow dropped later that same day. If a Nintendo Direct happens sometime soon and they reveal Overwatch, Blizzard's huge multiplayer hit, is finally coming to the Nintendo Switch, and you can download it after this Nintendo Direct. I mean, people talk about that happening. And yeah, that could make a lot of sense. It's not crazy. That's what happened with Fortnite and Hollow Knight and a couple of other games that I can't think of. I mean, they've done that before, and I think it would do huge business for the game. And I would actually, I guess, like to see it happen just because I think it would do huge business. But there's another element that a couple of people have brought up too, and that's that BlizzCon happens in November. And so maybe BlizzCon is the time when they would announce it. Or better yet, maybe they would confirm Overwatch coming to the Switch sometime soon, maybe in a press release, maybe in a theoretical Nintendo Direct, but then state that it's going to launch the weekend of BlizzCon. I think that could be something pretty cool too. So anything could happen there. It could shadow drop during a Nintendo Direct, it could shadow drop during BlizzCon, it could be announced at Nintendo Direct and then released during BlizzCon, or it could just release at its own damn random time whenever Blizzard feels like doing it. Or, we can't forget the final option, it's not true at all. What if it's not even happening, you guys? We always have to consider this stuff. The signs point to it being true. I'm tending to believe it. I have no problem telling you guys that on this video. I tend to believe that Overwatch is going to be revealed on the Switch sometime pretty soon. But it might not be. That's how we have to treat these things. That's how rumors work. You can believe one way or another, but if you're smart, you leave yourself open to believing that the other possibility could also be true, right? Does that make sense? So I tend to believe it, but there's a chance it's not real. It could show up at a Nintendo Direct. It could show up at BlizzCon. It could shadow drop, or they could just announce it and tell us a date for some time in the future. Anything is possible, but I think it's important that we keep all of these things, at front of mind here, that this might not be true, and if it's true, it could be lining up with the Direct, could be lining up with BlizzCon, or it could not be. So that's the real update. It's kind of just a quick piece of news, not a huge story, but as per usual, I managed to find, 10 or 15 minutes to blab to you guys about stuff because I just love doing it. So I have a lot to say, even on small stories. And this is really just a small story about a case for the Switch that showed up and then went away, and it really could end up meaning nothing at the end of the day. But, you've heard me say a few times, I'm tending to believe this, so I think we should keep our eyes peeled for a couple of things on the Switch front over the next couple of weeks. Direct related, Overwatch related, other thing related. Anything could be happening here. I mean, with the Switch Lite launching in just, 4 weeks now? Who knows what other surprises they want to throw out between now and then to get people more interested in another new Switch hardware that's coming out. So anyway, that's what's going on with this Overwatch case kind of thing on Twitter today. What do you guys think about this? I'm sure you saw it. What do you think about my opinion and theories here? Do you believe this thing? Do you think it means nothing? Do you expect it soon? Do you not? What do you think? Talk about it below. And with that, this video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Ro2R, and I'll catch you next time on another video.